On the count of 3, I want the loudest FanCon scream you can do. 1, 2, 3! All right, let 'em in!
Having grown up reading comics and watching movies and all that kind of stuff, that almost makes me feel like the fantastic is possible. Northern FanCon was started in 2015, and it was born of my desire to bring something grand scale to this city. I'm the event manager for the Prince George Citizen, which is a newspaper that is over 100 years old. I started doing events 3 years ago after I had a lot of success with an arts and entertainment magazine that I created called the Scene PG magazine. I went to Calgary Expo and I was like, man, it would be so awesome if we could actually do something like this in Prince George. We started doing sort of micro events, and we started with Kim Coates, who's from Sons of Anarchy. And then after that, we'd established enough of a relationship with one of the agencies, and that was William Shatner's agency. Once we confirmed William Shatner and we announced him, it blew up. Hey, what time are you gonna be on site? Putting it all together that first time, the event was much harder than I would have anticipated. It was 60 booths, 2 arenas, 12 guests, and I thought that was a huge accomplishment. We then tripled in size. Now we're in 4 arenas, we're over 180 exhibitors, and we have 20 guests this year. Once you open the doors, it's got a life of its own. The energy is so unbelievable, and everybody's so excited and so happy, and that's where they want to be. And it's like you're creating moments for these people. And that's kind of what keeps me going on it. The Awakenings booth, I'll show you where it is. When I'm on the floor, I like to make my rounds, and I like to actually check in with each of the artists, each of the exhibitors, each of the guests, so that they know like we're all partners in this great experience, right? So that's really important to me. This is cool. You got like such a great booth. This kind of event is just so awesome because it is that range of like the young to the old. Yeah, I think it speaks to like sort of the universal appeal to all this stuff. Right? It's not just an escape. It's something that you can actually get into and you can feel, and it's something more. Prince George is my hometown. This is where my heart is. Prince George is known for paper and pulp mills, but it's so much more than that. I think that the things that we're doing, it's going to change that perception. We're bringing all these great, amazing things to town, and we're going to get recognized for a few of those things as well. It's very, very kind of community-centric. It's super friendly and welcoming. I have a few places around town that are just my very favorites. One of them is Nancio's, which is like an old Irish pub, and I absolutely adore the fact that you go in and you're greeted by people, and it's very warm and it's very welcoming, and the atmosphere is just unbelievable. Hey buddy. How's it going? Good, how are you doing? I think we should have a lot of pride in where we live. We all build a community together. And if everybody's invested in it, then you have an amazing community like Prince George. I love it here. I think everything is so great. All the people are amazing. You know, it's beautiful here, and I want everybody who's out there to come and experience it and take a piece of it with them. I wasn't going to be told that we're not big enough or we're not cool enough. We are big enough and we are cool enough, and we are going to keep doing these things, and they're going to be amazing.
getting everybody today.
This better be an HD, man. I mean, I work hard. I gotta work hard.
Full HD. It doesn't get much more HD than this. Yeah. He doesn't know that I'm actually following what I was doing.
Very nice. You're doing Stormtrooper. No problem. Let's it out. Hold her on. Nice. Nice.
everybody today.
Dude, this better be an HD, man. I mean, I work hard. I gotta work hard.
Full HD. It doesn't get much more HD than this. Yeah. He doesn't know that I'm actually following what I was thinking.
Very nice. You're a stormtrooper. Touch it out. Overall. Nice. Nice.
I would like to go home now.
There is a place we can rest our heads tonight. It's the second most haunted place in Barkerville, the St. George Hotel.
So not home?
No, hotel.
Hotel. Haunted hotel.
Yes, haunted hotel.
Haunted hotel.
All right, this way.
On the count of three, I want the loudest FanCon scream you can do. 1, 2, 3! All right, let 'em in!
Having grown up reading comics and watching movies and all that kind of stuff, that almost makes me feel like the fantastic is possible. Northern FanCon was started in 2015, and it was born of my desire to bring something grand scale to this city. I'm the event manager for the Prince George Citizen, which is a newspaper that is over 100 years old. I started doing events 3 years ago after I had a lot of success with an arts and entertainment magazine that I created called the Scene PG magazine. I went to Calgary Expo and I was like, man, it would be so awesome if we could actually do something like this in Prince George. We started doing sort of micro events, and we started with Kim Coates, who's from Sons of Anarchy. And then after that, we'd established enough of a relationship with one of the agencies, and that was William Shatner's agency. Once we confirmed William Shatner and we announced him, it blew up. Hey, what time are you gonna be on site? Putting it all together that first time, the event was much harder than I would have anticipated. It was 60 booths, 2 arenas, 12 guests, and I thought that was a huge accomplishment. We then tripled in size. Now we're in 4 arenas, we're over 180 exhibitors, and we have 20 guests this year. Once you open the doors, it's got a life of its own. The energy is so unbelievable, and everybody's so excited and so happy, and that's where they want to be. And it's like you're creating moments for these people. And that's kind of what keeps me going on it. The Awakenings booth, I'll show you where it is. When I'm on the floor, I like to make my rounds, and I like to actually check in with each of the artists, each of the exhibitors, each of the guests, so that they know like we're all partners in this great experience, right? So that's really important to me. This is cool. You got like such a great booth. This kind of event is just so awesome because it is that range of like the young to the old. Yeah, I think it speaks to like sort of the universal appeal to all this stuff. Right? It's not just an escape. It's something that you can actually get into and you can feel, and it's something more. Prince George is my hometown. This is where my heart is. Prince George is known for paper and pulp mills, but it's so much more than that. I think with the things that we're doing, it's going to change that perception. We're bringing all these great, amazing things to town, and we're going to get recognized for a few of those things as well. It's very, very kind of community-centric. It's super friendly and welcoming. I have a few places around town that are just my very favorites. One of them is Nancio's, which is like an old Irish pub, and I absolutely adore the fact that you go in and you're greeted by people, and it's very warm and it's very welcoming, and the atmosphere is just unbelievable. Hey buddy. How's it going? Good, how are you doing? I think we should have a lot of pride in where we live. We all build a community together. And if everybody's invested in it, then you have an amazing community like Prince George. I love it here. I think everything is so great. All the people are amazing. You know, it's beautiful here, and I want everybody who's out there to come and experience it and take a piece of it with them. I wasn't going to be told that we're not big enough or we're not cool enough. We are big enough and we are cool enough, and we are going to keep doing these things, and they're going to be amazing. Is it beer o'clock yet? I
think
feel like it
is.
is beer o'clock. So huge shout out to our two very generous product sponsors for all of the streams. That is Barkerville Brewing. Here I've got one of their sluice juices. Very, very tasty. On the other hand is Trench. Trench, I've got one of the Sugar Bowl Pale Ales. I highly encourage you. It's a beautiful day out today. I don't want you to be outside enjoying it. I want you to be watching us. But in between streams, definitely run to the liquor store, beer store, grab some of these products, drink along with us. We're very appreciative of these guys. And it's a really fun piece of FanCon is, you know, having a couple beers during the show. And yeah.
There we go. And of course, in between the streams, you know, you can always put this on your phone because this is mobile. This is on YouTube. This is on Facebook. This is on Twitch. And just make sure you're not distracted. But yeah, definitely check out the sponsors. Check out the events. More than anything else, thank you very much for everyone who has been and continues to pass on the hashtag as we have it off in the corner that way. I should just do it naturally. Hashtag FanCon from home. And we've seen a lot of great photos and pictures. Norm, I've been seeing your face on a lot of TVs, on fireplaces and mantles and all of that.
Yeah, that's kind of neat. You know, it used to be that the only way I could get into people's homes is through a broken window, but now,
Heyo.
no, it's pretty cool, man. And I mean, like I was saying earlier, I mean, like I haven't looked at it today, but I mean, I think a big part in thanks to Ming's audience, but I mean, like we had viewers from like New Jersey, Florida, Los Angeles. So I mean, like the actual reach of these things is been really remarkable. So, I mean, just like anything, I've seen the highest of the high businesses try and execute Zoom stuff, and so we've had our little glitches and everything like that. But Bob Bloomer this morning said that was actually, it was more well run than lots of that he's actually been on already. So I mean, I think we're doing a pretty good job. I want to take a moment to actually recognize Paul, my partner here, because Paul's doing all the back end stuff. So literally, when the volume goes off on something, Paul is bombarded by 10, 20 people. You know, I don't have any volume. So like, thanks Paul for being such a trooper. It's it's like a beast.
Well, I mean, as many other people know, and all the professions from like Saturday Night Live and such, when you are live, things are just bound to happen. And you know, if you're a YouTube streamer, you get a chance to record and edit and then put it up. But if you're a live YouTube streamer, or in this case also Twitch and Facebook, things happen. Internets go down. Computers decide they're done for a moment. So we thank every one of you who have jumped back in, have tuned in, have given us feedback. I actually don't mind all the feedback. It's great, but it's we try to adjust as quick as we can and keep it as live as possible. The good thing is we're recording this on 6 different mediums, so at the end of all this, we'll be able to cut and paste, and actually anything that went down, we should have a full copy of each segment, and we will post this back up on our site when we have that back up and running. Likely in about 7 days' time. We'll take a little bit of time to unwind and come back. But no, thank you, Norm. It's been an absolute, decompress, but it's been an absolute pleasure, and we are still adjusting. So keep bringing in those questions for all the guests and for all the hosts, and keep giving the feedback to me and the team as well, because it's a pleasure. And also, like, Leah's been working on the social media, doing a great job with that as well, and we've been giving feedback back to her.
Huge props to Leah.
Yeah. And
the only feedback that we don't like is just kidding.
How often does that happen?
It hasn't happened yet, so
Not
we
yet.
don't like that.
Yeah.
We don't like that.
No fax machines. But yeah, no, it's otherwise we're doing really good though. The donate button is still on fancon.ca, so if you do have the ability, don't feel pressured whatsoever. We are very happy to be bringing this all for free. However, by all means, if you have the means and if you have the ability to donate, then please do, and that will be going to a great cause who's been doing everything to help out during this COVID crisis and so many other events that happen in the world.
Also, like, if you're interested in any of these folks that we're interviewing, or any of the businesses that are featured, make sure to follow them on their respective social media channels. There's nothing more valuable than time and attention. And so they've given you their time, and we gave them our attention, but you know, following through with that is really nice for them as well, right?
Yeah,
so
100%.
I'm super, super excited about the next panel.
What is
super
the next
excited.
panel?
Okay, so at 1 o'clock, Sarah Shack, so former film commissioner Sarah Shack, is going to be bringing us some inside information to her latest film, Cage Fighter. So for those of you who maybe don't know, Sarah was instrumental in Dreamcatcher filming here. So it was a Stephen King film with like Morgan Freeman and Tom Sizemore and Jason Lee. There's like a bunch of people in it. Reindeer Games was Ben Affleck and Charlize Theron. Double Jeopardy, Tommy Lee Jones and Ashley Judd. Just like crazy stuff. That's like the biggest Prince George's film industry has ever been. And Sarah went off to follow her dreams. And it flash forward to now, she's a producer. Her latest film, Cage Fighter, has like a crazy cast, like Gina Gershon, John Moxley, Chuck Liddell, J. Christian Riso, who will also be on the call.
Yeah.
And it's really thrilling. And I love what they're doing. She's such a smart lady. They're helping to feed the growing hunger for live events. There's not any MMA stuff that's really going on right now. Minimal for the wrestling, I think. But the thing is she's feeding that by doing a pay-per-view for this film. This film doesn't come out until September, but on May 16th, I know I'm buying in. Paul, you buying in?
100% buying in.
Yeah, it's just super cool that like this is a film with roots in Prince George.
Yeah.
And it's like this innovation that people are going to be able to enjoy. I'm so excited to watch this. I'm just over the moon, Paul.
Well, and it's funny because if you look at my screen right now, it looks like I'm actually just promoting myself, but this is actually a t-shirt from Jay Riso. So
really?
Yeah, it's from their podcast that they used to do, Edge and Christian, with the ENC Pod of Awesomeness. So it's Paul Smackage, master of the small package and former belt, which Christian also has won in the past. Yeah, it's...
You should be in on this cast.
I should be, but I have to be behind the scenes, fixing audio and all these kind of things. But no, I'm super excited for it. I can't wait to see how it all goes. And when I'm not watching 14 different screens, I'll rewatch it again afterwards. And definitely I'm plugging in for May 16th. Cannot wait.
Yeah, it's going to be big. It's going to be big.
But,
what else we got happening this weekend? Today. At 3 p.m., we've got Rachel Talalay.
Yes.
Which I'm totally gonna like gush all over her. I'm such a huge fan. So that's James Douglas and myself will be interviewing Rachel. She is also one of the interviews that is going to be featured in the upcoming Northern Lights Camera Action from Barker Street Cinema, which is a chronicle of us trying to build film industry for Prince George. At 4:30, we've got a live tour of Aaron Harrison's workshop. Hopefully he cleans it up before then, but it'd be better if he didn't. At 5:30, we've got Jason David Frank, and 6:30, then it's cosplay, man. It's cosplay all night then. We've got 6:30 is the cosplay roundtable, so it's going to be led by, drumroll please, Mark Meir!
Dun, dun, Mr. FanCon.
Yeah, hey.
Hey.
So yes, I would gladly give him that title. So Mark Meir is going to be joining us. So that was kind of a last minute addition. He had such a great time yesterday that he's like, I'm coming. And I mean, it wouldn't be cosplay without Mark Meir.
That's true.
If you are submitting an entry for the cosplay contest, please remember 3 p.m. is the cutoff.
2 hours left.
2 hours left to wrap yourself in gauze bandages and that nurse outfit. It's got to be distressed. I don't know what it is.
I was going to say possible wigs or ears or superhero costume of some sort, and then submit it in.
And it's any platform to submit. All you got to do is hashtag FanCon from home. I've already seen a couple of TikToks that are like outstanding. Nice. I didn't like TikTok until now. Just
there you go.
So it's like, but
you're now a fan.
Yeah, big fan.
I can imagine what your TikTok channel will be like. All right, and then afterwards we are going to be playing replaying, although we've never broadcast the 2019 cosplay contest before.
We have not,
Okay,
actually.
I love the fact that it says rebroadcast, but we've never broadcasted before. So
Oh,
I'll
that's
have that
funny.
as well too. And that'll be great. How long is that video? Do we know?
Oh, I'd say it's maybe 2 hours.
About 2 hours. So from
I might be wrong. You know what? Maybe it's just an hour. I don't know.
So from 8 o'clock to about 9 o'clock, or from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, you will have content that you can jump in and watch and view with all of us. And then we'll be
Yes.
back on Sunday.
That's right, man. And then on Sunday, obviously, it's Mother's Day.
Yes.
So what better way to celebrate Mother's Day than with Veronica Taylor, the voice of Ash from Pokemon?
Nice.
Also, there's what. So she's Sailor Jupiter. Did you know that?
I did know that.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great.
Yeah, I only know that
Maybe
because of the
people
fact
did
that Riddle is actually big into the Sailor Moon and everything like that. So that's where I found that out.
Nice. And then finally, Denise Crosby, who is a dear friend of ours. She was in the Doctor's Case, but I mean, probably more recognized as Tasha Yar from Star Trek Next Generation. And both of those ladies are like mothers, right? So I mean, what better fitting way to celebrate Mother's Day than with two fabulous mothers? And then we're rounding out the day with some free Geek Tarot readings from Allison Spokes, our good friend. So
Nice. Perfect. It
Yeah.
is a jam-packed lineup going right all the way through. Let's see here. I think we're just getting everybody ready right now. I see attendees popping in. I see Chris popping in. Actually, we can bring Chris in right now, I'm sure. He must be excited and chomping at the bit to get in on this.
Oh yeah, man. And so, for those of you that maybe did not see it, Chris wrote a really fantastic article on Cage Fighter and Sarah Shack on the scenepg.com. So it's scenepg.com. I encourage you to check it out. It's a great article. We'll actually post it in the link for this as well.
Yeah.
Chris, man, you're killing it, buddy. I loved the Jeremy Simpson interview. Loved it.
Oh, thanks, man.
It was great. It was super compelling, and I find that guy super fascinating.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
super fascinating.
It's
Like
super cool. Yeah.
yeah, it was just like what it was is it was like totally like a super cool nerdy conversation, and I was just like, oh, I was like, you were having fun with it, I think, yeah.
Yeah, well, thankfully he knew to talk. He could have given single word answers, and we'd be done in 5 minutes. So
Yeah. Yeah,
So
he
it was-
checked in to see how it went, and I was like, I told him I thought it was awesome, and I think he should do more interviews.
yeah, it was a definitely good conversation. I loved grilling him about his newer projects and having some
Yeah,
fun on
I
that.
liked how you were trying to
Skirting
tease some
around
out,
it.
hey? Yeah.
No, it's
That's
perfect.
that's the journalist in you. You've got
Yeah.
the heart of a journalist. The heart of a journalist. Hoi hoi.
All right, so
Cool.
we're just getting ready. I think we're just waiting for our attendees to join up, and then
This
Chris
is the
will
one I'm
go.
the most terrified about, though.
Oh, you're gonna do great, man. And like you've already interviewed Sarah and Shane,
Yeah.
right? And I seem to remember you and Shane had like a pretty great conversation.
Yeah.
And Norm's already done the plug for the beer and everything, so you don't have to worry about doing that as you start this off.
Oh,
But, I mean,
you can still do it. Go ahead.
you can do it right now. Since we got 1 minute, we are live, but I mean, we're 1
I love
minute
his
till
plug.
1 o'clock.
It's awesome.
It's good to consider it.
Yeah. Sounds like he's typing.
Just adding more notes to the interview.
There we go. It's all happening live. What's the term we're calling for this, Norm? Flying while still building?
Live no matter what or what? Yeah, no, flying the plane while building it.
That's right.
It's Half Constructed Airlines or Last Minute Productions, a division of Last Minute Productions.
Love it. And then other than that, everybody, as you're joining in and as you're checking this out, just make sure you continue to pass on the hashtag FanCon from home. Send us your moments. Send us your conversations. Send us your questions as well too. We'll pass them on to Chris, and as moments happen within the interviews, but these interviews are going by quick. 45 minutes is a short segment when you're having fun, but we'll pass them on and add that community flavor to everything. Let's see here. I'm going to go into tech support mode for a second here. If you want to keep
Excellent.
going there, Norm.
Sounds good, man. I'm actually I'm gonna try doing a watch party on this
Ooh.
one from my personal account. So anybody who's out there, I encourage you to try and do a watch party as well. This is a big deal for like for us in Prince George, because it's someone from Prince George who has gone on to great success in the film industry. So I mean, it would be great to get a whole bunch of eyes on this one in particular. So please share, watch, and yeah, man, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be real good. Chris, what's up? Are you stroking out?
No.
I love that you've got the Mr. PG's head getting ripped off in the background.
Well, I had to find something for a backdrop.
Yeah, that's great.
Unfortunately, my standing poster is about 9 feet tall, and my drop ceiling is about 8 feet tall, so we can't have it in here. So.
Yeah. I've got where is it? Back here. You can't really see it. Oh wait, I'm always bad. Okay, this right here. That's Michael Hogan taking a shot. Okay, so
I'm glad you said shot.
Yep.
I'm gonna hop off here and I'll message you.
Okay, sounds good. All right, Chris, I'm gonna let you do a plug for the sponsor and get it going. I'm guessing we're probably having a quick little technical difficulty, and we will send guests to you momentarily.
Okay, so we're going to be doing a roundtable with the producers of Cage Fighter, and this is brought to you by. Get it up. By Trench Brewing. That's right, Trench Brewing. Brewed for adventure. If you want to know if you're drinking quality beer, check the label. Do you see a picturesque view of beautiful scenery? Soon to be memories thanks to the destruction via man-made climate change? That means you're drinking Trench Brewing. That's Trench Brewing. When you want to drink out of tall white cans and can't be bothered with a 6-pack, get a 4-pack of Trench Brewing. Yeah. I didn't know that there was a belt behind you. So yeah, on the alternate topic, if you guys were listening to the Bob Bloomer one earlier today, then you'll know that Bertram Bohr and its chief cook and bottle washer William Miller and we created a cooking show, which you can find on off of Bertram Bohr's Facebook page. You can also find it on my YouTube page at Prince Gastronome. And we hope to do like one of these a week. The first one is cavatelli, which is a pasta dish, and next week or early next week, only a couple days from now, we'll launch the next episode, which is carbonara. I'm sure I'm terribly interesting to watch as we try to get things going. We're bringing in Sarah Shack, Shane Puslogger.
Hey, man.
Hey.
So yeah, we're just a minor technical glitch here. Give us a minute and we'll be rolling. I'm excited that you're the person who's actually doing this interview, partially because you've seen everything roll down, like the past film industry successes. While Sarah was here, you're around for it, yeah?
Yeah, I was on. What was yours? Because I didn't have anything with Double Jeopardy. I found myself on set at the Sandman Inn during reindeer games. And because a friend of mine, or a friend of my brother-in-law, was working as an assistant to the late John Frankenheimer, and he waved me onto the set with his mother, and then he brought Ben Affleck to me, and I shook Ben Affleck's hand, and that was the joke I made with Kevin Smith, that I met Affleck, and I thought I was standing in a hole because he looked like he was 7 feet tall. I met Clarence Williams III. I met Danny Trejo. Danny Trejo is the opposite. Danny Trejo is very, very short.
He looks so big on screen, though, hey?
He looks big on screen, but at that point, I was just like, he's like 5'7" at least. He's not a very tall person. I did not meet Gary Sinise or Charlize Theron, but yeah, it was cool to see cool to see Affleck. Of course, everyone has their stories back then about how they brushed people. You know, people who met Gary Sinise at Earl's. You know, people up because even when you watch the trailer, you can see the old Save On location when they converted it to Michigan Fine Foods, and it's the most Prince George film that's ever been made because it's you can recognize locations everywhere. And then of course they did Dreamcatcher, but Dreamcatcher was shot more around Prince George, so
Yeah.
there were just although there was a story about Stephen King in when he came into town, dropped by a superstore at one point.
That's
So
funny.
I don't know how accurate that was, but I heard it from several sources that Stephen King passed through the superstore, which I thought was very unusual.
Or maybe Superstore passed through him.
Yes. How about you? Did you have any interesting celebrity brushes when those
I
shows
did
coming?
not. I did not. I remember there was a party that I think we either were trying to finagle our way into that was like a rap party at Iron Horse, where they'd rented out. And I think because I think maybe I was bartending there around that time. Maybe I wasn't. I don't know. I mean, there was a lot of buzz and a lot of great energy, right? I had like friends who worked at Moxie's, and they're like, "Oh, you know, Tom Sizemore was in here, and Morgan Freeman was in here, and all that kind of stuff." But for me personally, I didn't have any brushes with any of them. Right?
Some people had. Some people had. You know, imagine if we had social media back then, how everything would change. It'll be a constant update of where everyone was. But in the old days, you literally had to call people up, or you had to find. So when at the Sandman, there was about 30 or 40 teenage girls that had heard that Ben Affleck was there, and they were waiting to get a photo. And then after he shook hands with me, he walked into the crowd to try to take some photos with them, and I'm sure he didn't mind that at all.
Yeah, who would?
Exactly. But yeah, that was I remember that. That was quite clear. And of course, I was mentioning we were talking yesterday. I got to tell that to Kevin Smith, and then tell him the fact that Strange Brew was shot in Prince George, which is he actually didn't believe at the time that found out the reason why. So the reason why Strange Brew was shot in Prince George, because during the Kevin Smith interview, I didn't know, right? Because he was saying like they shot in Toronto and then they came all the way the f out here. Like why? And I didn't know. I knew we had a brewery, but I didn't know why they traveled halfway across the country. It turns out the reason why is that every other brewery said no.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the producer of Strange Brew approached every brewery they could in Ontario, and every single one of them either couldn't facilitate them in the time period needed, or just flat out said no. They didn't want to be associated with it, and they went across the country and got almost right to the other side until they found somebody who said yes, and they liked the interior, so they had to move the production all the way from Toronto to Prince George to shoot these Elsinore brewery scenes, and then that was it. So
Awesome.
it was great. So that was the actual story. If I ever see Kevin Smith again, I'll make sure to
Cool,
correct
man.
him.
We've got some of our panelists coming in, so I'm going to leave you, Chris. Hey, Sarah and Shane. I'm looking forward to watching this. Have a good one. Hey.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So is it just gonna be you two guys today?
No, Jay's coming. Jay's coming.
Okay.
We were chatting online. Sorry for the confusion here.
No, it's okay. I got the Trench Brewing plug out of the way.
Saw that.
You just said plug it, so you know what? I'm gonna write a script for each one of these and just have a little fun with it.
I'm just going to check on Jay, but if you guys want to start.
Well, I'll do a quick introduction so people know what's going on. So I'm going to quote a little bit of the article I wrote for Scene PG. So on Saturday, May 16th, 2 trained combatants will go to war, and within this cage will enter Randy Stone and Reese Gibbons, one a champion, the other a rising superstar. This exclusive pay-per-view event is the culmination of conflict and drama surrounding these two men and those that support them. Who will you root for, and who will rise and who will fall? If you haven't heard of either of these two fighters in professional mixed martial arts, that's not surprising, as neither actually exist. But you wouldn't know that by looking at the promotional images or by the pay-per-view one-night-only event format. This is a feature film that will be premiering next Saturday, May 16th on Fight TV. And I'm here with those responsible for the film, perfect timing.
Look at that.
Hey, I'm with Sarah Shack, Shane Putzlocker, Jay Christian Rizzo. Is it Rizzo?
Riso.
Rizzo. The producers of Cage Fighter. How are we all doing today?
Very well, thank you.
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Well, like I said, this is the one roundtable I am the most terrified about because it feels like,
as you should be, Chris.
as I should be. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So first of all, what is Cage Fight? That's the most broad, very obvious question. Let's get that one out of the way.
What is Cage Fighter? Well,
Like,
I think you did a pretty good, job of what you just said there. But it is a feature film about an MMA star that has cleaned out his division, and the promoter Max Black, played by Gina Gershon, wants to do something special for the fans. So she wants to do a crossover promotion with a wrestling star, and that's played by AEW World Champion Jon Moxley. And we don't want to give away the movie, but Reese ends up in the toughest fight of his life, both in and outside of the cage.
Yeah, we've seen a share of wrestling movies, not as many MMA films, or specifically not as many good ones. Were there elements that you guys wanted to convey, and any elements you wanted to avoid when you were looking at these other films?
Well, I don't know if it was about we didn't compare it to other films. I know that Jesse, the writer-director, wanted to make like a real life as much as close to the business side of MMA. And we wanted to make the fights look as realistic as possible. And then as far as the wrestling side goes, we wanted our character Randy Stone to be, real, gritty, not campy in any way, not to say that anybody else is, but we just wanted someone that could play the role. And we think that Mox was the perfect person to play it. When
I looked at this movie, it was, to me, very relevant of what's going on right now in both pro wrestling and in MMA with what we've seen here in the past few years with wrestlers actually crossing over into MMA. We had Brock Lesnar do it. Bobby Lashley's done it. Obviously, CM Punk has done it. And most recently, Jake Hager has done it. So to me, it's a very relevant story as far as what we see now. What I liked about this movie when I read the script was the fact that being a pro wrestler and being passionate and caring and loving what I do, to me, the wrestler was very much had credibility in this film, and to me that was really important because a lot of times, sometimes they like to portray pro wrestlers as sort of a parody, and to me that wasn't the case at all in this movie, and that's what I appreciated about it.
Yeah, and we were finding that Jon Moxley has brought it up in a few interviews, sort of that same point that you see a lot of wrestlers as like a over-the-top caricature, and this guy's kind of very much an athlete, hardcore, out to win, out to prove himself, and out to talk about the sport in a real respectful way. And so I think we kind of tackle that as well on this film.
Well, it definitely seems like the really good sports films focusing on wrestling or mixed martial arts definitely deal with people, and so who you're investing into the characters going into the fight rather than focusing on the fight itself.
Big time. This movie has a lot of heart, and there's a lot of different relationships that really matter. There's like a lot of sort of subplots within the movie. Fighting is a big part of it, but there's also the relationship between Reese and his sort of mentor coach, which is played by Chuck Liddell, and then you have the stuff with Stephen T. Drake, played by Jay, and his interactions with Max Black, Gina Gershon, the main promoter, and there's the relationship between Reese and his wife. I mean, there's a lot of other things going on in the middle of the movie beyond all the fantastic fighting.
And what you just said there previously, to me, is very true to life as well in this film, is having an emotional connection to the characters. It's very much in the pro wrestling world for you to go out there and get a reaction from your audience, whether it's a cheer or whether it's being booed. As long as there's an emotional investment in your character, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Silence is the enemy when you're a performer. And I think it's the same. And I think MMA has kind of taken that stance as well. We've seen it with them kind of taking the pro wrestling framework of promos and personality and character-driven stuff, adding it to what they do to sell fights, realizing that if your audience has an emotional connection, the more they're going to want to pay to see you win or see you lose. So I think that's it's represented really well in this movie as well.
Absolutely.
So Jay, how did you get involved in the production, by the way?
So what happened is I was working on a movie called Super Grid a couple of years ago, an independent movie in Regina, and the producer there, a guy named Hugh Patterson, knows Shane. They talked a little bit about this project, and he was like, "Hey, you got to send this to Jay." And it just turns out that Shane is just like the biggest Christian fan in the entire world, as it turns out. You know,
Now that's amazing. I don't know if we ever talked about that.
Yeah, big fanboy. And so we got in touch, and then it just so happened that one weekend, Sarah and Shane were in Tampa, where I live, at a film festival here, and I was flying back into town from doing some business, and we crossed paths in the airport for about 15, 20 minutes, and there was a kind of a chemistry right there off the bat, and we just kind of clicked even in that short conversation. I said, let's get it rolling here. And they gave me a copy of the script, and I read it, and, made a few suggestions from my end. And that's how we started working with each other.
And to follow up on that, like Sarah, before we even contacted Jay, like Sarah and I really wanted to get this as legit as possible. We do, like, as being a huge wrestling fan, although yes, big Christian fan as well, of course. We respect the sport so much and the business side of it, that we just wanted to have like someone with a really good wrestling mind to help us with this, to make sure that we just stayed on side, that we didn't want to insult that industry, the fans, anything like that. So it was very important to us to have someone real on this team.
And Shane, you are a wrestling fan. I've heard you're a big wrestling fan.
Total big, huge wrestling fan. Always have been.
Yeah. Did that affect how you made certain decisions and how to kind of?
I think if you ask Sarah, I think that this movie might have died a few times if I wasn't such a big fan of pushing for this movie to keep going.
Yeah. And a few times he was, the meetings were so exciting, both professionally and also personally, that it's like, definitely like a kid in a candy store with this guy on this movie.
Yeah.
So getting a chance to brush shoulders with some of these icons in the sport, that must have been quite exhilarating.
Well, I'll never say it in front of Jay, of course, but yeah, it was. Some texts would come in, and I remember Sarah and I were in Tampa there, and we were at other meetings. I'm like, oh my God, Jay just texted. Gotta get to the airport and meet him. But yeah, between him and John and some of the others that we had the opportunity to meet, I'm a huge fan. But like, I don't really get starstruck with movie stars when we're doing movies, but for some reason with wrestlers, I'm just like, just bleh. Yeah, I can't even talk sometimes. It's
Yeah, so Shane, I know I interviewed you on the stage of FanCon last year, and we were talking about the jobs of producers, and you made a amazing joke about some producer titles are more honorary, and then I commented I have such a title. So as you guys being producers, how involved are you with the production? How much do you interact with the director and the casting? Because I know you're obviously on set, because you guys were on set, because they're very much hands-on. How does that extend into this production compared to maybe some of the other ones you've done?
I don't think it changes. Like, if it's a project that that Sarah and I kind of own and control and are leading, we're heavily involved all the time, absolutely. And if it's a project that you're just helping out with some sort of financing or just a little piece, like you oversee, but you're not always there. But this one was definitely 100% hands-on. We're very hard on our directors a lot of the times on all films that we're doing. So I think that at the end of the day, as long as you're making the same movie that the director's making and putting all the effort in, then it's fine. You can ask Jay though, because I don't know if Jay thought it was going to be as much work as he had to do for this film, because Jay really stepped up and had to do a lot for this film.
No, I mean, it was, to me, when I stepped out of the ring, I when you're in that world and when you're on the road traveling the way that I was, it's single focus. When you're trying to get to the top, the travel, the shows, all of it together, it's demanding, and it doesn't really give you a chance to explore much else when you're in it. And for me, when I stepped out of the ring, I wanted to have my hand in a bunch of different pots. I wanted to try things. I wanted to do new things. And being as comfortable as I was performing wrestling, it was second nature to me. I was so confident that every time I went out there that I was gonna do something special. And to me, having that fear of stepping into something that I'm not necessarily that good at, there's a fear of failing. And to me, whenever I've been up against a challenge like that, instead of shying away from it, I kind of go after the things that scare me instead of backing away from the things that scare me. So um, I just want to work with people that are better than me and get better myself and get into all different kinds of, like I said, hand in different pots. I had a podcast for a while, had the Edge and Christian show on the WWE Network that we wrote and produced and starred in. Did a little bit of acting, did some hosting, a bunch of different things. So to me, this was a lot of fun and a real great learning experience. Obviously, working with producers like Shane and Sarah that are really good at what they do. That makes me better and actually makes me look better. So
as you can see, like we started out as a fan of Jay, and you kind of turned into a fan of me. So we're even.
But Jay, you're performing double duty because you're in front of the camera as well as kind of behind it. Was there any challenges in handling that kind of responsibility?
No, not really. And actually, I had told Shane when he had said that they wanted me to do this, I actually said, maybe I shouldn't do it. I don't want to be that guy that's like, I have this title. You should put me in it. Like, I didn't want to be that guy. And he's like, no, you need to be in this. So, and I'm really glad that I did. It's a great character that doesn't overstay its welcome, but is a pivotal part of the movie, in my opinion, of telling this story. So, no, there's not really a challenge, as far as, deciphering the two responsibilities. They were kind of when I got there, it was just kind of tunnel vision, focused on the task in hand of delivering for this character.
Was there one you preferred? You're like, I like this producing gig. I'm thinking I'm going to do it more often.
I liked it at first until Shane kept blowing my phone up in the middle of the night with problems.
Yeah, obviously.
No, it was I actually enjoyed both equally as much. So it's really fun when you have the blueprint, so to speak, of this, and then you just see step by step of it coming together. And there was a lot of pitfalls trying to put this movie together too, as far as changing locations where it was going to be shot, to having one of the actors injured and having to change some of the shooting dates and things like that. There was some real turbulent times, and everybody kind of pulled together. And to me, the movie, I think people are going to be like really blown away when they see this on Fight TV next Saturday.
Yeah. And you guys went halfway, actually literally across the world, and then came all the way back. So like, what was some of the, what kind of issues were there? Those struggles and the challenges that came out of the film?
Sarah, why don't you start with that?
We could write a book. There were, this movie, probably 4 or 5 potential deal breakers happened to us at different times on this movie, and somehow we persevered. And Shane and I have a saying, we'll deal with that tomorrow. That's tomorrow's nightmare. And it was like every day there was some new problem, and some of them were massive, but for some reason, we were able to kind of keep our head down and figure it out. So the movie was originally set in London. We had heard that London was going to be the place for this, and Shane and I done some research, went over there, did a bunch of work, and it just didn't work out financially. It just wasn't going to work for us. So we considered Eastern Europe as another option, but then of course we had other challenges. We have actors that have other gigs, and we had a real professional wrestler that had to get back for work, and we had all these logistics and schedules, and it was a nightmare. And then Shane, hometown Saskatchewan guy, said, "What about Sask?" And we suddenly did a big pivot and really started looking at it seriously. And we ended up where we needed to be, and it was a great fit for us. Ended up back in Canada, in Saskatchewan, and we're really glad we did. I don't even know if we would have been able to pull it off in any of the other 2 locations. Logistically, it would have been almost impossible. So that was just one of our issues. Yes, there was injuries. There were, other things we had to deal with, but you just do it, and someday it makes a great memoir.
Yeah. And you've also, like, dealing with once again, as someone who's still trying to kind of researching your guys' past works, you mentioned the fact that the director, who was kind of the only big creative person who we're kind of lacking here, he was the writer and director of the project. Have you guys dealt with someone like that, who had that obviously a lot of passion, and was dealing with that situation different than, say, other projects you guys have been producing?
No, I think that, like, before we'll even get going too far down the road on any project, you better have a relationship with your director. If you get too many red flags, it's not worth it, for sure. And I think Jesse, from the get-go, like he is a very business mind for this. And remember, he's been running around for 4 or 5 years trying to get this movie made. And it wasn't until we came along that it actually happened. So I think he was very grateful, and he just put his head down to work, and he was like, he rolled with the punches. So when it was like, okay, we're going to go to Bucharest, for about a month, we were going to Bucharest, and we did all the work there and everything. And then when the surgery thing came up last August, and it was like, okay, well, we're going to Canada, and we lost some other actors because we were coming to Canada. And we hadn't even cast Chuck at this time. Like, he just rolled with it, and I think that set the tone for, like, we always call it like going to war when you're going to make a movie. And I think that created our bond a lot better. And throughout the whole shooting process, like, there was just a mutual respect. And like I said before, we were making the same movie at the end of the day.
Yeah. What I appreciated about Jesse was how open he was to, like, discussing it, to talking about the script and things like that. Like, when it came time for when John was cast, and I said to him, I said, look, I know you have these lines written for him on the page, and if you need to get them, maybe shoot them. But I think you should also give him some takes where you just let him go, just let him ad lib, because this guy, I'm telling you, you'll probably you'll get something better than what's written on this page, just because of that's how he operates. That's the way that his mind kind of computes. So he was very open to that as well. So I liked his openness and willingness to try different things.
Yeah, when you Jay, when you read the script, when someone when obviously Shane said we want to do this project, and you read it, how accurate was the original draft? Like when you're looking at the original script compared to what happened, like how you looked at it, you say, "Well, this ain't true at all," or was it a very, very faithful representation?
Yeah, it was. There were some little tweaks, but nothing major. I thought it was very well represented of what actually how a wrestler is presented. But there's just little tweaks, and like I said, the way that a wrestler would say things or do things, certain mannerisms. So that was also things that we had talked about. It was more stuff like that.
Right. Now this project, this was the last project of 2019. I think you guys said. I think Sarah said you guys filmed this in November. That was a very big year for movies for you guys too. You guys were putting out a lot of stuff that's due out soon.
Yeah, we were in the middle. We did 4 movies in 2019, and different levels of involvement, but certainly all involved in financing and obviously Cage Fighter was Trilight's lead project, and we spent a ton of time on that one. But it was a busy year, and I guess lucky for us, given where we're sitting now, we weren't planning on being in production right now. This timeline was all about releasing the 4 films that we did last year and working in heavy development on some new things we want to start working on for the fall and into next year. So we were in a kind of a lucky position that way. But no, we had the biggest year ever in last year, and yet we still made time for FanCon.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. So if this proves, I mean, obviously I've seen the trailers, which people can find online. There's a teaser trailer, which I loved because it's only a few moments where you realize that it's not a real promotion. And then you have a trailer which just premiered just Wednesday, which you guys can find online, the second trailer, the full trailer. So obviously everything I know is from this trailer. So I don't know how it ends. I mean, a UFO can come down at the end, but is there room for a sequel? Have you guys been thinking about, reaching beyond this story?
I think that you're going to see some other stuff come out. I don't want to give stuff away, but we don't, like, obviously you want the movie to do well. You don't really think too much about, like, is there going to be a sequel? Let's see how the first one does first, But I think that any story like this, in this environment, in this world, in this fake legends world, like, of course, it's a franchise. It's absolutely a franchise. And I think that you can keep characters, you can bring new characters, and you can do prequels, you could do sequels, you could do almost anything with this type of content. Right.
I imagine there's quite a few, because I mean, as someone who's a writer myself, and you guys have a writer director, he's like, by the way, I have like 5 other ideas. You're like, let's just deal with this first one. And let's go on.
Yeah.
So
that also speaks to all the different relationships. There's a lot of little twists on that too. There's a number of different ways that it could be written for a follow-up movie for sure.
Right. So now let's talk about like what's happening. So the film's coming out with a 1-day event on Fight TV, May 16th. one shot. It's a 24 hour. Basically, it's pay per view. It operates on the exact same rules. And Fight TV is like they're basically they were part of the production. Like they were involved, right?
Well, just quickly on that, Fight TV, when we were creating the Legends promotion, obviously with UFC and Bellator, they have sponsorships all over the place. We wanted a legitimate looking sponsor as part of this production for the production value. So that's where the conversations with Fight TV started, and asked them if we could use their logo on some of the stuff that we were doing. And it just built a relationship with Michael Weber, the COO over at Fight TV, and we kept talking a lot just about. And again, he worked in wrestling. They do AEW, they do all the TNA stuff on Fight TV internationally. So we just had many conversations, and then we had always talked about maybe doing something on Fight with this movie, but it was too early to tell. And I think it was just only late February, March, Sarah, if I didn't call you up and say that we should start talking about this. And Michael Weber and I started talking, and I just said, it's silly as this sounds, but I don't know if anybody remembers back in '89 when No Holds Barred came out. Jay, you'll know this. And you remember they did the match in the movie on the pay-per-view, and Savage and Zeus and Hogan and Beefcake or whatever. And they played the match, and then they played the movie after. And I said, how cool would it be to do an event? And Sarah and I had always talked about doing some sort of event with this, putting on an MMA event. That's not us. Like, we're not sanctioned. We're not doing that. We thought about doing it in some arenas. And when COVID started happening, we were just like, well, then let's just do a one night pay-per-view event. And talking to Michael Weber about it, and we just said, listen, let's not do it as a VOD platform thing. Let's just try it. Let's push it as a pay-per-view event. Let's do, a pre-show. Let's see if our wonderful cast will get involved in this to do Q&As after. And everybody just stepped up. Sarah and I know this for sure. Like, sometimes distribution doesn't always work out so well, but Fight TV has stepped up, and we have never had as much push and promotion on any of our films, probably all together combined.
Oh, it's blasted on their front page. Yeah.
than Fight TV. So, it's a different sort of platform. It's the first time they're doing this with film. And, I think it's just, they're changing with the times too. Like, don't forget, they lost a lot of their events as well. All the live events that they were putting out. So I think that there was motivation on both our sides, and they have stepped up, and we couldn't ask for a better partner. We hope that this turns into something for future as well.
Yeah, because
on that, I wanted to mention that, of course, we're doing a lot of promotion of this to MMA fans, to wrestling fans, and really want people to support the pay-per-view event. I'm also hoping that the people in Prince George and Northern BC kind of want to look at supporting this event, because it's fun and interesting and something great to do, but to also support our companies that are, have made big investments in the region and of course want to do more in the future. So this is our, big pitch to get people to check out something that we've been doing. It also has a really cool behind the scenes kind of pre-show, and there'll be an interviewer and things like that. So not only will you see, the live roundtable afterwards and of course the film, but beforehand, you'll get a real good, interesting behind the scenes look at
a little making of.
Yeah, all this stuff has never been really. It's a really fun watch as well.
Yeah, it's not just the movie. I think people need to know that it's not just a movie that you're tuning into. It's about 3 hours. It's a full pre-show, post-show. Are all three of you going to be there?
Sarah and I are gonna. Nobody needs to ask us questions. I think we're okay. I think we'll leave that to our actors. Yes,
we'll be up probably. I mean, it's Aaron in 3 time zones, and Shane and I will be on the phone and on the computer.
Yeah,
probably 30 hours, but
probably yelling at Jesse for some reason. So yeah,
but Jay will be on camera.
Yeah. Jay. I told Jay I promised him that I would be up, and so did Sarah at the same time. And you're doing a couple of them, so you're going to be up at 2 a.m. or whatever in the oceanic time zone. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of surprising that, so the decision for this one-day pay-per-view event, it's obviously it's a perfect fit for the movie. I was almost surprised when I found out, like, did you were going with a traditional distribution before COVID broke out, and then you had this other option. It seems like it was almost kismet that this perfect opportunity presented itself.
Yeah, well, normally with most films, like, you're tied up in other distribution contracts in different territories and everything, and we didn't have that luxury. And I do thank Sarah and her investor team, because they really stepped up in this movie to put us in a position to have that opportunity. And I know that we have fans in the US that really want to see the show. And I think that, our cast take the heat more than us as producers, because everyone's probably on them on their socials asking why it's not on there. And it's only because, we did have a US pre-sale, a really big one that, was significant amount to help fund this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we offered this up. We did talk to them, and they're great people. They just, for their own reasons, they want to wait until the fall to release this. So that was the only distribution contract that we couldn't really get out of. And we didn't want to, by the way, either. But having the rest of the world available is because of Sarah and her investors that put us in a position to be able to do that.
Give us a flexibility for sure.
And we are going to get regular film distribution with the film, but it's going to be several months down the road.
We definitely don't want people to think that they're going to get the other movie, right away. I mean, this is the time to watch it. But yes.
Yeah, if you don't watch it now, like we're going to sit back and we're not letting this. We probably won't come out again until the fall. Yeah.
Yeah, when theaters finally start to open up again.
Yeah.
I think too with what you're going, there's a real thirst for. You talked about the wrestling fan base and the MMA fan base. To me, wrestling and MMA, it's the same tree, different branches. Really, it's entertainment, and there's a real thirst, for these shows. Wrestling fans are passionate. MMA fans are passionate. Sometimes they're one and the same fan. And like I said, it's a unique opportunity right now with the state of the world, when there's not a lot of live events going on that are being broadcast, to have this type of combat movie on Fight TV, a streaming service that specializes in this this arena. And it really, like I said, it's true to life. It's a great movie. It's very relevant to what's going on right now as far as in both sports, because we see a lot of MMA fighters crossing over into pro wrestling right now as well. So yeah, it's just perfect timing, and hopefully it provides an escape for people for a few hours to watch and be entertained.
Right. And let's say down the road that we do pursue with other films related in the same genre, or even a direct sequel. If things go back to normal, would you still replicate this pay-per-view format? Would you think if it ends up succeeding, you would try it again?
I don't know. I think you never say never. Anything. I think we see how this goes, and all I know right now, and I think Sarah, you could probably back me up on this, is that we love the partnership, and they've been amazing to us. So we'll see what happens.
It's been fantastic, and everyone's been playing to their strengths and finding different angles and different ways to promote. And Shane and I think part of the reason we've made such a great partnership is we play to our strengths. We try to think a little differently. Every single project we've done along the way, we've kind of maneuvered a different way. And so we are flexible for sure to see where, the opportunities lie. And that allowed us to jump on this opportunity. We didn't sit and think about it for months. We sort of looked and said, yeah, let's do it. And then we threw everything we've had at it ever since.
I'm looking forward to it. The funny thing is, like, me and my friends were like, we usually do an MMA night, every Saturday. So it's like, well, this becomes that MMA night where we get to see that, kind of replicate that full experience that most people would do. And now it's in this format. So it's almost fortuitous. It's that this opportunity came about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Sarah, just before you guys came on, we were talking about the previous films, and I would be remiss without mentioning that Sarah obviously is local, was once part of the Prince George Film Council, and was responsible for bringing several films to Prince George in the past. That includes Reindeer Games, Dreamcatcher, Double Jeopardy, everything basically except the big one, which everyone knows, which is Strange Brew.
One of my favorites, though.
Hometown pride.
Yeah. So knowing that, and knowing that there's this blossoming industry, this desire, especially with Norm and myself being a writer, producer, that would there ever be a desire to come and bring production back to Prince George, especially in this new environment? Since obviously once everything goes back to normal, people might be a bit skittish filming potentially in the US compared to going to areas that maybe free up sooner.
Well, I mean, one thing I mentioned to you in the interview prior was when Dreamcatcher was filming, or when we were scouting, actually, Dreamcatcher was when 9/11 happened, and the producers, Warner Brothers executives, were like, "Oh my gosh, we're so grateful to be in northern British Columbia right now. Nobody's going to be putting a target up here. So at the time, when something crazy goes on in the world, places like Prince George and northern BC are safe havens. And I do think in a weird way. It's a weird thing to capitalize on or benefit from. But I mean, there's been very, very few cases up there, partly because of geography. People are so spread apart. There's lots of room to roam. It could be with Vancouver, a place like Vancouver bursting at the seams when the industry comes back. It could bring a unique opportunity up there for producers to come. As it relates to us, I always have a soft spot for the North and for Prince George specifically. And I've come up a number of times. There was that Netflix series I was trying to get up there, and Shane and I have been involved with a few of your local producers, including you guys. And, if there's the right business model, we'll be there. And, we've got a lot of connections up there, and there's a lot of interesting content out there. So, you never know. Well, we're always thinking about it anyway.
Yeah.
Something will work at some point. There's a lot of passion up there, and people work very hard. And we did find the same in Saskatchewan. That area used to have a very strong and popular film industry. Shane was a big part of it. But then when the industry kind of went away, a lot of crew people had to go get other work, and having the opportunity to work on a film again, like they did in Cage Fighter, everyone works a little harder. They're so grateful to have the opportunity, and it's great for us because there's a great attitude, lots of productivity. It just really makes a big difference. And then the business community and the government, really backed us big time. So I know the same is in Prince George and Northern BC. It's just a matter of coming up with something that works.
Yeah. And you guys shot in November of last year, or was it November, December, or just November you guys shot in Saskatchewan?
It was all of November.
All November. So Jay, have you been into experience Saskatchewan's very unique type of cold weather?
Yeah, I have. I last time I was in Regina, before that was summertime, luckily. But I've wrestled in Regina and Saskatoon many times. In the winter, in the dead of winter, so driving into to do those shows, a lot of times, you go in to eat at a restaurant, leave the car running. So you have to get back out in the cold car. But yeah, I've experienced it before for sure.
And it was cold this last November. Like it started early. Yeah, it was gross.
Yeah.
Well, it could have been worse. You could have been in Winnipeg.
No.
So actually, one thing I meant to ask, but going back to the film, I can say, who's it made for? I mean, honestly, is this a mature film? Is this going to be for adults? Can kids watch it? Like, I'm actually curious about that because obviously,
it's funny you said that because because we haven't fully delivered everything and haven't went to the MPA and got a rating yet. I said, geez, we better put a disclaimer on the beginning at the front of this movie. So, I think it's, mature audiences, probably over 16. I wouldn't, if you have kids, I probably wouldn't let them. There's a lot of F-bombs, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, too many to even cut out. Yeah.
So it's about the same as a standard.
We wanted to make it. We wanted to make it as real as possible, and I think that it's. I think it, and hopefully it lives up to that.
Yeah, and you guys, this is just one film. You guys still have 3-4 more coming out in the next year too, and some are like really, really. I mean, some of them, the casts and the films and some of these projects are just amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. Like some are getting finished. One's done. One, unfortunately, we were shortlisted on in Cannes, and when Cannes was canceled this year, like obviously that sucks for us. That was a bad thing. So we'll see what happens with Toronto this year. What's going to happen with TIFF? Whether it's going to happen or not. But again, whatever. We just roll with it. Yeah, ups and downs.
And this is something a little bit off topic, but considering the recent news with AMC and Universal, do you think the industry is going to change radically after all this is resolved?
I don't know. I don't have enough. Like all I know is as a fan, I would hate to live in a world where we didn't have theaters to go to. Yeah. But other than that, we're gonna roll with wherever we're at. Yeah.
But for now, we have this astounding film coming out May 16th. When does it start? When does it premiere?
Okay, May 16th. And because we're Canada, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Now, I'll say that because I know that's 4 o'clock Pacific in Prince George. But Fight TV guys are really smart, and they knew that Dana White might be putting on an event that night. So they put it on early. So that's why we're having the earlier start times here. Plus, we wanted to make it as easy as possible. So if you're in Melbourne at 7 p.m., if you're in London, England, at 7 p.m. that time. And then and then if you're in North America, South America, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So 7 p.m. Eastern time, 4 Pacific, 3:30 the pre-show starts, and then stick around after because we will have a Q&A, and I can guarantee you Jay will be there.
Yes. And actually, do we know how much it costs so we can tell people?
In Canada, I think it is $14.99 US, so whatever that is, $20.99, or whatever the currency value is at that time.
Which is decent, which is a good deal. I mean, most new releases on VOD, it's about that same price, and doesn't include the Q&A and the pre-show as well.
Yes. Yeah.
By
We
now,
agree.
Yeah, good value.
Yeah.
Great
Well,
value.
yeah. So that's fantastic. I obviously, is there anything I haven't brought up that I think that you guys should bring up?
I just, I keep saying it from the beginning, and it's hard to make movies as producers. And then I know for you guys there, like how hard things can be. We're all there, but having a cast of people that your talent stands up and promotes your film for you is something that Sarah and I are so thankful for. So Jay's here, so we all thank him publicly. But having Moxie and Chuck and Alex and Rockhold and Jay all promoting the heck out of this film has done wonders for us. So we just wanted to say thanks to them, and we hope everyone likes the film.
Yeah, I was telling a friend, was like, I'm talking to Jay Christian Rizzo, and he's like, "Can I be on there?" Like, no, you can't. It's just for me. because I was a huge fan of wrestling in my youth, and without saying specifically, but there was a certain screw job that happened in the late '90s that kind of got me. I moved away, and I never really rediscovered it. So it's actually fascinating for me to kind of do this research and go, I miss the good. I miss being of going back, and now you're kind of invigorating me to kind of rediscover.
You stopped watching wrestling after the Montreal Screwjob?
I think it was more a coincidence at the time. Like, it wasn't anything negative. I was like, well, what the heck? But then, things came up. The girl I was with didn't really care for wrestling, and the same old story. But this has been fantastic. So May 16th, starting 3:00 on our time zones, 7:00 on the East Coast. Absolutely cannot wait to see this film. As I said, everyone can see the trailer. And I just say thank you to Shane Putzlocker, Sarah Shack, and Jay Christian Rizzo for tolerating my my stuttering. And I said thank you again. And I really, really hope this thing blows up, and I expect it to.
Thanks for having us.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
This is Chris signing off. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
On the count of 3, I want the loudest FanCon scream you can do. 1, 2, 3! All right, let 'em in!
Having grown up reading comics and watching movies and all that kind of stuff, that almost makes me feel like the fantastic is possible. Northern FanCon was started in 2015, and it was born of my desire to bring something grand scale to this city. I'm the event manager for the Prince George Citizen, which is a newspaper that is over 100 years old. I started doing events 3 years ago after I had a lot of success with an arts and entertainment magazine that I created called the Scene PG magazine. I went to Calgary Expo, and I was like, man, it would be so awesome if we could actually do something like this in Prince George. We started doing sort of micro events, and we started with Kim Coates, who's from Sons of Anarchy. And then after that, we'd established enough of a relationship with one of the agencies, and that was William Shatner's agency. Once we confirmed William Shatner and we announced him, it blew up. Hey, what time are you gonna be on site? Putting it all together that first time, the event was much harder than I would have anticipated. It was 60 booths, 2 arenas, 12 guests, and I thought that was a huge accomplishment. We then tripled in size. Now we're in 4 arenas, we're over 180 exhibitors, and we have 20 guests this year. Once you open the doors, it's got a life of its own. The energy is so unbelievable, and everybody's so excited and so happy, and that's where they want to be. And it's like you're creating moments for these people. And that's kind of what keeps me going on it.
The Awakenings booth, I'll show you where it is. When I'm on the floor, I like to make my rounds, and I like to actually check in with each of the artists, each of the exhibitors, each of the guests, so that they know like we're all partners in this great experience, right? So that's really important to me. This is cool. You got like such a great booth. This kind of event is just so awesome because it is that range of like the young to the old. Yeah, I think it speaks to like sort of the universal appeal to all this stuff. Right? It's not just an escape. It's something that you can actually get into and you can feel, and it's something more.
Prince George is my hometown. This is where my heart is. Prince George is known for paper and pulp mills, but it's so much more than that. I think that the things that we're doing, it's going to change that perception. We're bringing all these great, amazing things to town, and we're going to get recognized for a few of those things as well. It's very, very kind of community-centric. It's super friendly and welcoming. I have a few places around town that are just my very favorites. One of them is Nancio's, which is like an old Irish pub, and I absolutely adore the fact that you go in and you're greeted by people, and it's very warm and it's very welcoming, and the atmosphere is just unbelievable.
Hey, buddy. How's it going?
Good, how are you doing? I think we should have a lot of pride in where we live. We all build a community together. And if everybody's invested in it, then you have an amazing community like Prince George. I love it here. I think everything is so great. All the people are amazing. You know, it's beautiful here. And I want everybody who's out there to come and experience it and take a piece of it with them. I wasn't going to be told that we're not big enough or we're not cool enough. We are big enough and we are cool enough. And we are going to keep doing these things, and they're going to be amazing.
Didn't do quite as well as we wanted them to do, but did better than we expected. And next year is the beginning of everything, don't you think? Cougars! No, we need more enthusiasm than that. Cougars! Now you're talking.
I got to go and visit the mall here, Pine Center Mall. Got a nice little gift card from the tourism board. Thanks, tourism board.
I saw Prince George, but we ate at this really great place called the Twisted Cork. Yeah. It was super good. It was really good.
We are in Prince George at the Northern FanCon. Put your hands together so the folks at home know you're real. You're real, all right. Real far from fucking everything, man. Holy shit, I had no idea I was going this far north this morning when I got up. I was like, Prince George, is that a Vancouver suburb? And it was not. Like, I flew over fucking mountains to get here. I was like, what happens if we go down? They're like, it wouldn't be good. But it's beautiful. Like, it's crazy. They make you travel to get here. This is in northern British Columbia. I've been to British Columbia many times, but the southern part, where all the fucking hicks live, down south. But apparently, I've never been here. This is gorgeous.
I've never been this far north of anywhere ever.
Really?
Yeah.
I would like to go home now.
There is a place we can rest our heads tonight. It's the second most haunted place in Barkerville, the St. George Hotel.
So not home?
No, hotel.
Hotel. Haunted hotel.
Yes, haunted hotel.
Haunted hotel.
All right, this way.